The app that Newveld just showed is a good example of how we can give text shape in the age of digital media. The other way we currently preserve and ship text is through the latest installment in technology, the e-book. The e-book serves as a threat to the traditional book. But how does the e-book behave compared to the book? There are both large advantages and disadvantages. These will be discussed in the next section by Landow and Bielstein. In the end, we might consider not if the book will survive, but if the e-book will. We start with a section from Landow's lecture. The advantages of the e-book are displayed in the middle column on the PowerPoint presentation. The disadvantages are on the right.
So, what is the difference between moving a book, as you see, speeding up? Well, first of all, in electronic text, the great thing is it can be continually updated, corrected, and improved. That is used to some extent by ebooks, and the text loses its fixity. It doesn't have to be. If you can't correct it or change it, it's adaptable. The same text can have additional readers and uses, and it can be used, say, on a Mac, on a Windows machine, on an iPad, and so forth. It's open. This is already a violation of the book. Readers can enter with search tools or with a hypertext link at any point when they need specific information. And this is the reader has not become an author, but the reader has taken some of the power of the author away to keep you out make it difficult for you to read the way you might want to for a certain purpose. Well, it's capable of being processed, and you can see but the thing that has been used mostly, these two. The digital text, because its code can be infinitely duplicated, and it's capable of being moved around rapidly, and it's become location independent.
It's no secret that ebook sales rocketed last year to the tune of about $1 billion. This didn't necessarily, believe it or not, return higher profits for publishers, but it did compensate for some of the erosion in the market for printed books. Even I, a devotee of the Codex, was beginning to see that monographs delivered over the internet were good things, that scholars in, say, Northern Canada, who couldn't count on a delivery truck rumbling up to their door, could benefit from being able to download a book file onto their computer. That professors who actually still do assign books can arrange for students to download and read them, and that students can sometimes rent ebooks for a modest fee today, rather than paying full price. I began to understand, too, that for publishers, there's a great benefit to offering books electronically. Theoretically, an ebook can stay in print, to follow Lisa. It can stay in print pretty much indefinitely. It can be repackaged, revised, bundled with other things efficiently. Thanks to ebooks, we no longer have to waste paper by printing too many copies. Hey, that lowers our carbon footprint, leaves more trees on the planet, producing oxygen and fending off global warming. So for me, the whole ebook thing kind of started to feel warm and fuzzy, good for everybody, good for me, good for students, good for the environment. What a wonderful thing. But oh so fragile. After all, ebooks have only been around for a couple of seconds in the total life of text. The Codex has been around for millennia. Its virtues and utilities are sound, its limits are known. To be honest, at this moment, I'm not terribly concerned about its viability. The more pressing question, I think, is whether the electronic book will survive. Strangely, only a few public commentators seem to be focusing on that. We're so immured in the newness of the digital environment, we can't possibly predict what the future will bring, though certainly plenty of people are trying. But who knows if there are going to even be ebooks in 2025? I mean, surely by then something entirely different will have come along. If we care at all about this form surviving, we need, first of all, to be concerned with the growing monopolies in software and distribution. It's really the Amazons and the Apples and the Barnes and Nobles that are driving the ebook forward, not publishers. A commercial e-reader like a Kindle or a Nook isn't meant to be interesting as a form. It's meant to be easy to read, to keep consumers downloading book after ebook. which in itself you can think of as an ephemeral yet inexhaustible commodity that costs practically nothing when it comes to production, freight, and warehousing, as a secondary edition. The ebook has no symbolic value to speak of yet, in contrast to the codex, where even the most banal paperback enjoys a certain presence, something others at this conference have so thoughtfully explored. Tied to all this is the ongoing problem of gross limitations on ebooks through digital rights management devices. So the way this works is, if you download a book, say from the Apple Store for your iPad, you won't be able to read it on Kindle. You're locked into Apple until your device collapses through either planned or unintended obsolescence, and so your library then goes by the wayside unless you invest in another Apple product. Though, of course, if you do, you're not going to be able to purchase that new Amazon book by Deepak Chopra. So what the hell? I mean, why not just give in? Buy a Kindle. Plus, it's almost always illegal to share a book file because that's an infringement of copyright. As I'm sure you're aware, one doesn't actually own those files you download. In the digital realm, we don't really purchase anything. We agree to terms of use. In the end, this may be what turns us off of ebooks entirely. That and the lack of privacy that attends online commerce, and like having Leah Price know what you're reading at any given moment. I mean, people may just get so sick and tired of all the restrictions and not to mention the hardware and software obsolescence, they find themselves going back to the printed codex. At least this, I was supposed to bring one, but you all know what they look like, is mine to keep or give away or burn or resell as I see fit. And my glasses work on any printed codex, thank you very much, whether it's purchased from Amazon or the neighborhood bookstore.
The internet and the ebook have changed the way we read and analyze books. One of the inventions that have made the research of reader perception much easier is the fact that you can see what other people have highlighted in their ebooks. Leah Price will give an example of Amazon and the Kindle. When you highlight a passage in your Kindle, Amazon will be able to gather that information. From that information, Amazon will make a list of most highlighted passages in the Kindle ebooks. These highlighted passages can be seen by other readers. Do we change our way of reading because we know that other people know what we have read? Or do we just read all the same?
We were talking in the two presentations this morning, I think talking around the question of how far bookishness is confined to varieties of the avant-garde. And I'm going to start with something much farther along the middle brow end of the spectrum than the text that we've been discussing, which is the most highlighted list on the American version of Amazon.com. These are, as you probably all know, it's the kind of top 10 of passages that readers have highlighted using the Kindle. Reading the Amazon list of most highlighted passages, which I check now kind of obsessively, because I'm not on Facebook, so I need something to check obsessively. This list always inspires me with a mixture of fascination and envy. And the envy is not, oh, I wish my scholarly monograph were up on the list, because obviously that's impossible. Who can compete with Suzanne Collins? Who can compete with whoever you think the author of the Bible is? Who could compete with Jane Austen, who, if you buy D.A. Miller's argument about her, is essentially the author of the Bible. Rather, the envy that I feel is the envy of future historians of reception. Because for anyone in this room who has spent, anyone of my generation, who's spent years in rare book rooms, frantically flipping through hundreds of volumes, trying to find some evidence of response by past readers to some text that you yourself are interested in. to find something in the margin that is articulate or at least legible or at least verbal or at least intentional, something that is better than the stain of a coffee mug or drippings of wax or traces of smoke. Or if you get really lucky, a shopping list written in the end papers, because until the advent of cheap, untaxed wood pulp paper in the second half of the 19th century, most people see books as raw material for their own writing. If you've wasted years of your life, and in my case acquired a bad back by sitting in too many uncomfortable chairs in too many reading rooms doing this, seeing the Amazon list, which is available for anyone in the world in the comfort of their own home or classroom, it's like that moment where you've been trudging along the road for hours and suddenly the express bus that you could have taken hurtles by and splashes you with mud. So, the other thing, though, that this contrast between what historians of reading have traditionally done and what anyone who goes on the Amazon site today can do, I think makes visible that the impulse to situate oneself within the set of other readers, to read, as it were, over other people's shoulders, to know how many other people are reading the thing that you are reading, is not something that was invented in the digital era. E-readers are obviously the latest in a long line of institutions that, in a sense, upstage the reader's encounter with an author by the reader's uneasy jockeying or competing or comparing themselves with other readers.